Lions lose today at home to the Vikings, and you know what? They deserve to.
You are Locked On Lions, your daily Detroit Lions podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, here we go, everybody. Matt Dery with you. It is Locked On Lions on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day on a post-game Sunday edition, November the 2nd and a Monday, November the 3rd. Lions at home fall to the Vikings. Lions came in 8.5-point favorites and lose at home to the Vikings. Minnesota ends a 5-game losing streak to the Lions. Brian Flores de-pantses John Morton to the tune of a 27-24 victory for Minnesota. The Lions dropped to 5-3. So much to get into. Matt Dery with you. Thanks for making us your first listen. Checking us out wherever you get your podcast. Please subscribe on our Locked On Lions YouTube channel. Check us out on all social medias and all of that. Apologize for the hoarseness, but had a great weekend up at Syracuse at the WAR Hall of Fame, helping to induct Andrew Siciliano and Sagar Magani. I got to give a quick shout out to some of our everydayers, including my guy Griffin Marcy, who's up at WAR, and a couple of other Syracuse legends, Josh Rothert and my girl Ella Armbruster. All right, here's the bottom line, everybody. The Lions today were ill-prepared to play this game. They were horrible today. And you're going to have clunkers. I'm not telling you the season's over. I'm not telling you, oh, no, Tate Ratledge was carted off. The season's, I'm not going in it. I'm not throwing in the towel or hitting the panic button. But I got to tell it like it is. Today, the Minnesota Vikings came into Ford Field and kicked your ass. They did. The Vikings established the line of scrimmage all week, including on Thursday, on our Locked On Lions crossover with Locked On Vikings host Luke Braun. What did Luke say? The D-line's been disappointing and overpaid, and the offensive line's been banged up and hasn't done the job, and the Vikings haven't been able to run the ball, and they haven't been able to protect their quarterback. Well, today, it was the opposite. The Vikings outgained the Lions on the ground 142-65. The Lions quarterback was sacked 5 times. I know J.J. McCarthy was sacked 5 times, but let's be honest here. The Minnesota Vikings were winning at the line of scrimmage. Goff was bothered all day, and he didn't play well either. Nobody did. When we hand out game balls at the end of the show, I got one. You maybe you could take the next 20 minutes to guess who that's going to. I have one game ball I'm handing out today. One. Uno. That's it. Today was a bad performance. And look, Green Bay laid an egg today at home and lost to the Carolina Panthers at Lambeau, 16-13. It appears, let me just double check here. I cannot believe the Bears came back and won this game. Come on, refresh. The Chicago Bears were down 42-40 or 42-41 and came back to win 47-42. That's right, folks. 8 games in, and your Lions are tied with the Bears. Bears come back to beat the Bengals today as Cincinnati misses 17 tackles on this Colston Loveland play. The Bears, it took them 8 weeks to finally use their first-round pick. Loveland had a big day. Bears won. But Packers lost, so that's good. But it should not mask or hide the fact that today was an absolute stinker. It was terrible. And it started off poorly. Lions actually did take a 7-0 lead. Offensively, things looked good on the first drive, but Vikings came right back down the field and scored to tie the game. It started with poor kick coverage. And I'm going to get into the special teams. I want to talk about coaching. All of it was bad today. They came off of the bye, and they looked unprepared. They looked like the team from week 1. When they played the Packers in Green Bay and lost in week 1, they looked soft. They just did. They got pushed around. Green Bay pushed them around on both lines. And today, a lot of the issues that we saw in week 1 reared its ugly head in week 9. The Lions had communication issues up front, especially the interior of the offensive line. Graham Glasgow, terrible. Tate Ratledge, awful. Christian Mahogany, really bad. They were all bad. The Vikings were stunting, twisting, blitzing, and the Lions had no answer for it. And what was unfortunate today was the Lions shot themselves in the foot. The Vikings at the end of this game were trying to hand you the game. Minnesota goes down and has first and goal, and JJ McCarthy runs out of bounds, which stopped the clock. Then they try a pass play. That doesn't work, stops the clock. They handed you extra timeouts. They managed the clock poorly. Lions come down, commit a couple of penalties, and then at the 2-minute warning are confused on what to do on 3rd and 1, so much so that they had to let the clock run down to the 2-minute warning to save their timeouts, which to me, if you're confused, call a timeout at 2:10, regroup. You're going to have the 2-minute warning as a timeout. Horrible clock management today. But it all starts with what the Lions were doing to themselves. And that was committing penalties, making mistakes. The Lions had a season high 10 penalties today. There were plays today where there were multiple fouls on the Lions. Illegal use of hands here, holding here. They couldn't line up properly today. They had guys, 2 men in motion multiple times. You cannot be penalized double digits and win. Somehow the Bears do it, but the Lions cannot do that. And when you're going up against Kevin O'Connell and Brian Flores, that's a very, very well-coached team. And what did I say on Thursday? I told Luke Braun, I told you guys, I'm afraid of this game. I think the Lions are going to win. I picked them to win 31-22, but I was afraid McCarthy, Justin Jefferson would do a little damage today. There was no way that the Lions defense could do what they did with all those guys out in the secondary again 2 weeks in a row or 2 games in a row. What they did to Baker Mayfield and Tampa Bay was impressive, but that was Eric Hallett, Nick Whiteside, Arthur Mollett. It wasn't going to happen again. No offense to those players, but those players all 3 weeks ago were not playing NFL football. Today, Hallett was a healthy scratch. Whiteside barely played. Mollett was out there, and anytime he was out there, number 27, they picked on him, including at the end of the game, when on 3rd down and 5, the Vikings ended the game with the Jalen Naylor pass. And give credit to J.J. McCarthy. And I know Tom Brady, 3-hour lather fest. Oh, J.J. Oh, my God. Make it stop. The kid was fine. He played a good game. He outplayed Jared Goff, but he threw for about 150 yards. Can we stop with J.J. McCarthy to the Hall of Fame, Tom? Jeez. Make it stop. But again, I'll refrain. It was just a bad performance today. I keep repeating myself. It's true. They looked unprepared. You knew coming in, what does Brian Flores always try to do to Jared Goff in the offense? Blitz, pressure him, take him off his spots. And for the last 5 times that these two teams have played, and I'm not going to use I'm going to use it. Benedict Johnson had Brian Flores' number. And today, John Morton did not. Screen passes that got gobbled up. They actually tried 2 fairly deep balls today. They tried a couple of deep shots late in the game. But early in the game, watch the Vikings creep closer to the line of scrimmage. 7-man boxes, 8-man boxes, 9-man boxes. Why? Because the Lions never throw the ball down the field. And this has been for the last 3 weeks. The offense wasn't scintillating against Tampa. We know it sucked against Kansas City. And today wasn't good again. This was an offense putting up over 30 a game. The last 2 years under Dan Campbell, they put up like 33 a game. Today they were held to 24. And oh, by the way, they had a field goal blocked. They allowed a kick return for a touchdown that was called back. Another kick return to start the game where the Vikings had great field position. The kid, Myles Rice from Indiana. Can we somehow get Myles Rice instead of Jacob Sailors? No offense to Jacob Sailors, but my God, the Lions kick return team today was an F-. Bad. And Minnesota had to have this game. And they were dangerous. They were hungry. And they played like it. And the Lions played like a team coming off a bye week going, remember 2 weeks ago how good we looked? Look at how good we looked. We're 5-2. We're the Lions. Well, next week at Washington, time to sack back up and play better football. Way too many mistakes today. Way too many. Play calling, atrocious. Again, not lining up properly. You got a quarterback making $53 million a year. I want to see more. Goff today, 25 out of 37 for 284, 2 touchdowns, sacked 5 times. Was he awful? No. But he wasn't good for the standards that we have. But again, it's a long season. You're going to have some bad performances. These are division games. The Lions have been cruising in this division the last 2 years. But today was unacceptable. All right, coming up next, more on the special teams, some other coaching decisions. I do want to comment on officiating. I have to, because I owe you the fans that, because there were some calls today that were just mind-blowing. We'll do that coming up next, right here on a Sunday edition of Locked On Lions. All right, everybody, Locked On Lions today brought to you by Supply House. When the opening whistle blows on a new repair, get your crew moving forward with Supply House. Order today and see parts on your doorstep tomorrow. Over 280,000 plumbing, HVAC, and electrical items from the most trusted brands in the business. Their real-time inventory and honest lead times keep you from punting projects, while their industry-leading customer service always has your blind side covered. Need parts fast for a project? Supply House has next-day delivery. It's a game changer. It's awesome. The part finder tools and 3D schematics can save you hours on jobs where every detail matters. Join the free Trademaster program today and score serious perks like priority shipping, lower prices, and a dedicated support line. Visit supplyhouse.com to sign up for free and use promo code SHNFL5 for 5% off your first order. That's supplyhouse.com. Real people, real service. Matt Dery with you on a Sunday edition of Locked On Lions. Again, apologize for the voice. Just very, very hoarse from a very, very fun weekend that I had up at Syracuse for my college radio station, WAER, and our Hall of Fame induction. Hung out with a lot of great friends, met a lot of great people. And, hey, the voice is shot. It is what it is. Vikings 27, Lions 24 today. J.J. McCarthy show. 2 touchdowns through the air, 1 on the ground. Lions were held to 65 yards rushing today. Jahmyr Gibbs had just 25 yards on the ground and 3 yards through the air. 28 total yards today for Jahmyr Gibbs. And I'm going to get to all of that in a minute, but I want to point out you cannot win. Dave Phipp is an excellent special teams coach. He's fantastic. Does a great job. He's a great guy, affable, funny. And for the most part, the Lions special teams of this season have been pretty good, especially the kicking game with Jake Bates and with Jack Fox. Today, it was atrocious. And you cannot win when that unit plays like this. Myles Rice with a big, long kick return to start the Vikings offensive, the first Vikings offensive possession was an absolute killer. Myles Rice today, where are the stats? Myles Rice today had a 61-yard kick return and an average of 32 and returned one for a touchdown that was called back because of a holding penalty on Tavier Thomas. But, Lions fed Sam Laporta to start the game, and he had 66 yards receiving at the beginning of the game on 1 series. But then that 61-yard kick return set up the Vikings to immediately score. And that's a backbreaker. And I know it's early in the game and there's everything else going on, but just an awful, awful performance today from the special teams. You got Khalif Raymond twice today. Twice. Fair catching punts inside the 10. Why? Stand on the 10 and let it go over your head and bounce. Jake Bates had a field goal blocked by not 1, but 2 Vikings big men in there. It just, couldn't cover kicks. The kick return team is terrible. It's been bad all year. whether it's Jacob Sailors, whether it's Craig Reynolds, and Reynolds was a scratch today, but they have not been able to have any kind of success in the kick return game. Punt returns with Khalif Raymond is fine. Of course, Khalif had a punt return touchdown against the Browns earlier in the year, but today, Lions special teams got exposed. You can't win like that. It was a bad performance, really, in all three phases. I thought the defense wasn't terrible today, but some missed tackles. Did we hear Aleem McNeil or DJ Reader's names called at all today? At all? What those guys do today statistically? Let me look. Aleem McNeil had 2 tackles, 1 solo. DJ Reader 1 tackle. No sacks, no hurries, no pressures. I don't see anything on the score sheet for those guys. Jameson Williams had more tackles or as many tackles today as DJ Reader. All right. So that was a problem. The Vikings were able to establish the run early in this game with Aaron Jones, and then again, too, with Mason. Mason ran for 36 yards. Aaron Jones today averaged 8 a carry. He had that 31-yard run. Obviously, the jet sweep with Jordan Addison. What do you know? A jet sweep was called today by Kevin O'Connell. Where was that? From Johnny Moe, John Morton. The Lions offense today, and now I'll segue into coaching. The Lions coaching today starts with Dan Campbell. All right. Dan Campbell is excellent. All right. He has done a phenomenal job. He can be here as long as he wants. But today, bad. They didn't have any blitz beaters at all. Anytime the Vikings were in there on Goff, the Lions had no answers. And in the second half, I thought adjustments would be made, and they really weren't. It took till the end of the game when they finally were going hurry up, and Goff hit Jameson Williams for an unbelievable play. And J-Mo, was great to see him have a good game today. And actually, I take it back. I will hand out 2 game balls. But J-Mo had a touchdown today that got him within 3. But again, the Lions could not get a stop. But on the coaching front, you know what the deal is when you play the Vikings and Brian Flores. He's going to blitz his linebackers. They know that Jared Goff's limitations are, up the middle pressure, interior pressure. Goff just struggles there. Jared is not mobile. He's not a guy that's going to run out of the pocket a lot and throw on the run. That's just how the way it goes. And the Lions have built themselves over the last 5 years under Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell as a team that wins up front. It was so bad today on the offensive line that Tom Brady, Botox and all, called Glasgow Ragnow and then went back and was like, hey, they kind of wish they had Frank Ragnow. Do you remember that? It's because the interior of the Lions offensive line got chewed up and there were no adjustments made. When the Vikings needed a first down late in the game, they ran a jet sweep for 16 yards to Jordan Addison. How come the Lions don't have that play in their arsenal? At least didn't have it today. The Vikings are constantly coming at Goff, bringing heat. Try something different. Today's offense was boring, bland, vanilla, and there were no answers. When the Lions blitzed, the Vikings had answers. They had that little swing, a misdirection, a swing pass out to Aaron Jones. They had the jet sweep. What did the Lions have? There was nothing creative today. And maybe because they made so many mistakes and they were in motion multiple times with multiple men and committed all these penalties that the Lions were just kind of afraid. But whether it was Goff, whether it was John Morton, this was a poorly put together game plan against what Brian Flores is going to do. It made no sense. And I'm telling you, and I'm going to say it again, when you got a home run hitter in Jameson Williams, I'm not saying you've always have got to throw just bomb after bomb and turn this into Eric Coryell from the Chargers or anything like that, or Kurt Warner's Rams. But can we please try something down the field? I know Jared Goff doesn't have, the Stafford-like deep ball arm. But goodness gracious, it's become way too predictable and dink and dunk with this team. And when they couldn't get the run game going today, and give credit to Minnesota's defense, but you got a safety in Harrison Smith that's past his prime. Test him. Test him. Go down the field. Josh Metellus has had a bad year. Test those guys. They don't. That's 3 games in a row they don't go down the field. They tried one in the fourth quarter, and then the other one to JMO is down the field. Air it out. Even if it's incomplete, you're at least telling the defense, we're doing this. We're trying it. And you back those safeties down a little bit and off. My God, there were like 8, 9-man boxes, and it's like dink and dunk central. I'm hoping Morton makes adjustments. He did a good job at the start of the year. Sans game 1, games 2 through 5 or 6, things look good. But the last couple of weeks, namely Kansas City, last week against Tampa, and this week against Minnesota, we're seeing the offense kind of stuck in the mud a little bit. Like I said, Sam Laporta had 66 yards receiving in the first drive alone on 3 catches. The rest of the game, he had 3 catches for 31 yards. You've got a lot of weapons. You got to find a way. You got to try something creative. Today was boring, bland, and I'm not saying tackle eligible passes to Dan Skipper or Penei Sewell have to be in the rotation every week. But you got to try to do something to throw off the Vikings with misdirection. Like I said, jet sweep, something. Nothing was there. It was a boring Goff back to throw look all day. All right, I did mention I am going to hand out some game balls. Lions suffer their first home loss of the year. And again, it's the first time the Lions have lost to the Vikings in the last 5 tries. And look, Minnesota is a good team. They are. They have not looked good the last few weeks. McCarthy's been out, but they don't suck. They're 4-4, and that's probably around where they should be with all the injuries that they've had. But they're not bad, and they're well coached. And today, they whooped up on the Lions, plain and simple. There were some positives. I will get to that coming up next. And I promised something on the officiating. There was a call today that if the NFL does not get in it, fix this rule, then there's something wrong. We'll do that next. All right, everybody, Locked On Lions brought to you by, they're brought to you by our friends at FanDuel. Excuse me, NBA is back. No better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Pistons with a big win in Mexico City last night against the Mavericks. Even if you missed the start of a game, all right, or you want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score next, excuse me, to fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. I need water, but I love FanDuel. It keeps every game, NBA game, exciting, especially when your team's making that late push. Right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So head to FanDuel.com right now to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. All right, Matt Dery back with you, Locked On Lions, Locked On Podcast Network on a Sunday edition. Don't forget, Lions Squad Show was live today with Jake Riepma, Bradford Banta, and Natalie Kerwin. Tons of coverage right here on Locked On Lions on the channel, whether it's the Squad Show a couple times a week and live post games, or with me every single day. I'll be with you. You know that, Monday through Friday. And we're doing this show today on Sunday, of course, following what was a very unimpressive performance from the Lions. They lose at home, 27-24. Some of you guys were booing today when the Lions are throwing screen passes and losing yards. The Boo Birds were out at Ford Field today. Expectations are high, and today was not a good performance. Before I hand out a couple of game balls, let me say this about the officiating today. That crew was below average, but the call on Jack Campbell today for unnecessary roughness, body weight on J.J. McCarthy when he brought him down to the turf was maybe one of the single worst calls I've ever seen. And I'm well aware they brought in Dean Blandino, the rules expert, and he's like, yeah, he landed on him with his body weight. You watched Jack Campbell today try to lift up his arm as he's taking McCarthy to the turf for a sack. And they call that, it was ridiculous. All right. Absolutely a joke. And if that's what we're going to get to in the NFL with protecting quarterbacks, then we might as well just play flag football. Unnecessary roughness, body weight. It wasn't even roughing the passer. Look, the Lions had 10 penalties today. It was not a good performance. I'm not saying that cost them the game, but I thought the officiating today, I mean, Justin Rogers from Detroit Football Network even put on Twitter today something to the effect of officials 34, Vikings 24, Lions 17. The officiating today was subpar, to say the least. I'm going to give a game ball to Terrion Arnold, okay? Terrion Arnold steals an interception from Jalen Naylor. We all saw it. The officials huddle up and have no idea what happened. Not one of them saw. Terrion Arnold clearly made that play on a pass thrown behind Jalen Naylor. It was awesome to see Terrion play the way he played today. He had a knock away on a pass in the end zone to Justin Jefferson. He's getting a game ball for me today. He played well, but it shouldn't take the officials 5 minutes to see that was a clear interception. That was absolutely horrible. But the officiating was bad both ways. And, they missed a hold on Hutchinson, who, by the way, did not have his best game today. I mean, I know Hutch got a sack and everything, but even on the last play where McCarthy hit Naylor to seal the deal, Brian O'Neill kind of buried Hutchinson on that play. Nobody played well today. Terrion Arnold did. Terrion Arnold gets the game ball from me. Hopefully this is the start of some really good, consistent cornerback play from Terrion, because he was good today. I'll tell you who else was good today was J-Mo. 4 catches, 66 yards, the 37-yard touchdown. They targeted him 6 times. I joked on Twitter today. John Morton apologized to Jameson Williams this past week. Morton should apologize to the fans for the poor offensive execution and game plan. So J-Mo and Terrion get my game balls today. But that's it. Nobody else played well. It was just too many mistakes made today. Bad routes and angles on tackle attempts. When McCarthy's touchdown run, Anzalone took a terrible angle. They looked ill-prepared today. So back to the drawing board at Washington next week. We'll have a full week of shows right here on Locked On Lions. And don't forget, Tuesday, trade deadline, 4:00. We will be on with you after that. Thanks, everybody, for making us your first listen, checking us out wherever you get your podcasts. Lions dropped to 5-3. We're back again tomorrow.